Do you ever wonder if your art has hidden meaning in it? I love that question because I'm obsessed with the deeper meaning that art can reveal. And after making art with literally thousands of people, I can tell you that some art has deeper meaning and some art does not. So, this video is going to explain which is which and how hidden meaning can come through art in unexpected and surprising ways. I'm Michelle Baker, creatrix of Art as a Soul Language. I help creative women in midlife use art to receive messages from their soul, guiding them towards purpose and fulfillment. So, what art has deeper meaning and what art doesn't? If you are doing a drawing or a painting from a reference photo and your intention is to make it look as closely as you can, or maybe even like hyper realistic, that's totally fine, very valid and beautiful art, but it's not art that's going to have deeper meaning because what you're really intending to do is to replicate something and transfer it onto canvas or a bigger piece of paper. There's also something that I call mind art, which is when you're creating art really from the mind level. It's kind of like when you're making art that you think you should make. And I have a memory of being in my studio and I was doing one-on-one art therapy with somebody and I had asked them to do a drawing. And so I remember her carefully pulling out each of the colored pencils that she wanted to use and carefully doing this drawing. And when she showed it to me, she had depicted herself and the different chakras lined up with the different colored, like rainbow colored chakras. And we talked about it and I asked all my good art therapy questions, but there really wasn't a deeper significance to the art. And I realized afterwards it's because she had just showed me what she wanted her life to feel like or what she wanted to feel like inside. But it wasn't an authentic expression of what was really going on for her. So it didn't have any deeper significance because it really was her mind saying, like, this is what I think balance should look like. And then on the other side, we have intuitive or expressive art. And this art is more abstract, it's more emotional, it's coming from an inside place, it's a little bit more evocative. And because of the nature of this type of art, it has a lot more capacity for hidden meaning to be inside of it. So, yes, your intuitive art can have deeper hidden meaning because it's abstract and expressive. So, if you think about painting a picture of a car, it's a car. There's really not a lot that's open to interpretation. But if you paint something more like this painting that's behind me, you'll see that there's a lot of room for interpretation. You might not even know what it is. I'm the maker of it, and I don't even know exactly what it is. It largely depends on the intention that you have when you start creating your art. If your intention is to make a car look like a car, then that's probably what's going to happen. But that doesn't leave a lot of room for interpretation, which is totally fine, right? When I make art, my intention is to discover something about myself through the art. And so it's an inside out approach where I'm really looking for what I know through a feeling and having it come through in visual form so that I can come into relationship with it more strongly. And you might think, well, I've never had an intention when I was making my art. But usually, if people aren't consciously setting an intention to make the art, then they have an unconscious intention to make something beautiful. That might not be the case, but it tends to be an underlying intention because most of the time we think of art as something that is supposed to be beautiful. But the way that I relate to art isn't about making something beautiful. That's just a nice side bonus that happens. I'm really making art to get more connected to myself. So if you find that you also are making art in that way, then it's quite possible that there is hidden meaning in your art. And I'm curious, so leave me a comment below this video if you have had something deep and significant come through in your art, something that surprised you, something that felt like a soul message. I would love to hear about it. So how does meaning come through your art? The hidden meaning in art comes through metaphor. Metaphor are multidimensional. So it allows for something to be depicted and to represent multiple things simultaneously. And that's different than a symbol because a symbol is an agreed upon this means that. So think about the broken heart emoji, right? If you put that into your art, we all have an agreed upon understanding that the broken heart emoji means that your heart has been hurt. Or if you see the peace symbol, we all have an agreed upon understanding that that means peace. It falls into the same category. So if you notice, you can look up what is the symbolism of color. So if you look up what does green mean, it's going to say green means renewal or springtime energy, but it can also mean jealousy or envy. And what you'll notice is even though there's a couple of options, it's a this means that scenario, which isn't really true of any color. Colors can mean a lot of things to different people because of how we relate to them. So we want to get out of this one-to-one correspondence of this means that and open up to the metaphoric realm of it could mean lots of different things. So the hidden meaning comes through the metaphor. It can also come through characters that are in your piece. And even if your piece is incredibly abstract, it still can have characters. In fact, in my program, I will say to the person, which element in this picture do you most identify with? And even if it's completely abstract, there's always a particular part that the person who's the maker identifies with. Oh, I'm that white swishy part up there. So you'll notice that there's a way in which you, the maker, relate to the art and give it qualities and characteristics, even if they aren't people that you have painted. And so there's a deeper meaning to those characters and the way that they're relating to each other, and also the scene that's being created by those characters. Where are they? What's happening in this place? And again, that's true even if there aren't actually people, because the different slashes of color or the different shapes and things like that are still creating an overall scene in which there is a feeling about what it's like to be there. And they might have interactions that are different depending on where they are in the composition. The best way to get to the hidden meaning in your art is to ask questions. So in my women's program, we have the saying, questions are queen, meaning the best thing that you can possibly do is ask questions. So when I'm working on a painting from the very beginning through the middle, which is where this one is at, all the way to the end, I'm constantly asking it questions. And then I'm also the one that gives the answers because I am the maker. So whenever I ask people about something in their picture, if they say, well, I don't know, it's totally a normal response because we didn't purposefully put the meaning there. But then the truth is that you're the only one who knows. And I notice that when I give people a chance to really sink in, they do actually have a knowing. It's just that it feels a little unnatural to say this type of knowing because it's more of like an inner gut intuitive knowing. But you can really ask these questions of your painting and then be the one to answer from the painting's perspective. And that type of back and forth dialogue will help reveal the deeper meaning that's in your art. If you'd like to learn more about the soul messages in art, come get my free guide to using art as a soul language. I'll put a link to it right below this video in the description. And then I've also got a video already on the difference between mind art and soul art. So you could check that out if you want to know how to paint from your soul more instead of making mind art. Thank you for watching, and cheers to your deeper self-exploration through art.